Before we start, I'm gonna say spoiler alert. I'm gonna let you know this review is full spoilers. I'm gonna talk straight up about what happened in this show from start to finish. The order might be a little bit off, but I'm still gonna say what happened. Before I watched Clickbait, I saw that it had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 45 from the critics, and it had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 76 from the viewers, which led me to believe, oh, this movie might be better than I think it will be, because if the critics on Rotten Tomato don't like it, that means that it's probably good. One thing for sure, watching Clickbait, you will not be disappointed when it comes to finding a reason to keep watching. It is a clickbaity ass movie as you can possibly get. You feel like, I need to see what's gonna happen next, so you're definitely gonna click. And I guess the name is perfect for it. It's clickbait, and you are clickbaited into it. We're introduced to the character Nick, who is a family man, and he's a physical therapist at a college, and he was kidnapped and forced to make a video where he's showing a sign saying that he killed a woman and he's a woman abuser. There's a sign that said after 5 million views that they will be killing Nick, and all the people kept watching because they wanted to cancel him permanently. The general family tree that you need to know going into this movie, or you'll figure out going through this movie, is that Nick is a father. He has a wife named Sophie and 2 sons named Ethan and Kai. He has a sister named Pia. She's very important because she takes it onto herself to figure out what's going on, where her brother was. When everyone else is losing hope, Pia is just like, nah, I don't believe this. This is my brother. We need to find him. We need to make sure that he's okay because this is just not like him. Especially because they had a fight the night before and he sent her a message about how he's sorry, and somehow he's still disappeared. And that was her best friend. She's like, I gotta find my best friend. They try to take down the video and they run into a situation where the video is actually on a website that's made in Macedonia, and really the cops have absolutely no pull and they cannot do anything. And then after 5 million views, everything stopped and they stopped seeing videos from Nick. It basically turned into an internet game and people were trying to go out and find the body of this man that they saw on the internet holding up signs. There's a detective named Rashawn, and he tried to hook up with Pia on a Tinder-like site previous to Nick going missing. So now he knows who she is and she remembers who he is, but we don't get that information until later on in the episode that, hey, he remembered you and you remembered him, but he was using a fake name. And that was supposed to be a hint that, hey, people are using fake names on these websites and you gotta be careful. You can't trust anyone you meet online. So Rashawn goes and he finds the body and he had to break the news to the family, and the family is devastated. And now they have to figure out who killed Nick. So after finding Nick's body, the detectives confront the wife, Sophie, about a man that they saw in a video footage at a bar beating the crap out of Nick. And Sophie realized, oh snap, yeah, it was that dude who I was looking up with. Yeah, so like I cheated on my husband, but I told him. However, it turns out that dude has an alibi, and it checked out. But now everybody knows that Sophie cheated on Nick, and people are just dragging her name through the mud on social media. People are sending her threats and sending her messages all over. Yeah, a woman named Emma showed up, and she was like, hey, I've been messing around with your husband. We were in love. We were in a full relationship. And somehow she convinced everyone that this relationship was long-standing, and she had pictures of them on vacation, pictures to prove that they've been together. So Pia has this friend who is able to uncover that Nick has been talking to women for the past 2 years on these social media sites. The guy that we thought Nick was is not the guy that he is, because apparently he has been cheating on his wife with multiple people across multiple dating sites on the internet with different fake names. So instead of going home, Emma decided that she's gonna stay a little bit longer because she wants to help. When we're watching Emma's scenes where she's supposed to be with Nick, you kind of get this feeling as if like it's just so disconnected. Like you've never seen them in a frame together. We're just getting little shots of different body parts and so on. And then we're hearing the voice in the background, like he's talking to her. I was like, is she imagining things? Because we also saw her get off the phone with her friend, or while she was on the phone with her friend, she saw Nick after we already know that Nick is dead. So at that point, we're like, what's going on with this lady? Something ain't right. So Emma gets a phone call one night and they're saying, we know that you're in room blah, 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 and you're at this hotel and we're watching you. And like the smartest, most genius person in the world, she decides that she is gonna leave the hotel room. Now, as someone who spends most of the year in hotel rooms, I can say if someone says that they know which room you're in, know your room number, know which hotel you're in, you don't go outside. Honey, you just look around, make sure no one's in that room, and you lock yourself in the room. But like a genius, she decided that she's gonna leave. She called the cops, which makes absolutely no sense. If you're gonna call the cops, then why are you leaving? Call the cops, sit in there and wait until they get there. The hell is your problem? Like, lady, what are you doing? So she goes out there, goes into like the desolate parking lot, and instead of saying, oh, you know, like I want to go to somewhere crowded, like maybe I don't know, fast food joint that's open 24 hours or something where you know people are gonna be around, she decides that she's gonna drive on a freaking back road. Just absolutely stupid. Drives on a back road. This person comes out of nowhere and rams into the back of our car after he tried to like block her off. And now she has absolutely no idea who this person is who tried to run her off the road. And she's in the hospital and she decides that she's going to go home. But before she goes home, she gets a piece of information from Pia that there were other women and Nick was talking to a bunch of women all over the internet, and there were multiple sites, and she decides that she's gonna burn him. So she's gonna have an interview with a reporter and tell him all kind of information about Nick and about the type of person that Nick is. And then there's this reporter who was basically stalking the family, went as far as breaking into the house because he has absolutely no boundaries. And he's just all around questionable in all his actions. Like, I felt like the character was well acted, but I don't feel like they deserve an entire episode dedicated to them, because after that episode, we saw nothing of that reporter. So this reporter was able to track down a woman who he saw that was communicating with Nick on one of the dating sites a lot. And when he got to the bookstore using the name that the girl used with Nick online, it turns out that it's actually the name of the bookstore's cat. And her name is actually Sarah, and she has a brother, and she is dead. They found messages from Nick to Sarah, basically telling her to go ahead and kill herself. So Nick also has this friend named Matt who works at the same college where Nick works. And he just gives off this vibe like something is going on. So the family goes to a memorial service that they're having at the school for Nick, and the detectives tell them like, hey, be on the lookout because the killer could be somewhere in here. Like, they could be among us. You gotta figure out who's sus. All these people are around and they're giving you hints, and you're thinking, oh, It's definitely Matt. That dude's definitely up to something because all these girls on the volleyball team, they look like something is going on and they're not talking about it. And one of the girls from the volleyball team tries to talk to Sophie, and here comes Matt trying to interrupt and cutting the girl off. So now Sophie is questioning, like, what's going on? Why every time I see people, you have people interjecting, like I can't get to the full story. And now people are looking at me like I'm a hoe? I don't like that. So now Sophie gets the urge to actually talk to the reporters because she needs to set the story straight and maybe clear her name. That, hey, her husband wasn't all that innocent, but at the same time, she wasn't like a complete asshole for cheating on him because he was also cheating too. So the reporter decides that he's gonna use all this information to ambush the wife, Sophie, and he gives her the transcript of the communications online, and she was just like, in disbelief, she's like, no way. And then she's kind of started to come around and feel like, yeah, my husband was cheating on me and he was an absolute dickhead. And Pia was just like, no, there's no way my brother would encourage anyone to commit suicide. Because Pia found out about the messages to Sarah, she also looked into any family member that Sarah had, and it turns out Sarah was an orphan and she had a brother. And that one brother, she started thinking if anything happened to her, her brother would have gone after the person who did it to her. So she's like, hey, I need to look into this guy. And she started checking out his social media and saw that he does not post selfies often, but on the day that her brother just happened to be kidnapped, he posted a picture of him and his stupid ass friend that they were out fishing. Like, you never post, but now you're posting, so you're creating an alibi. The cops went after him and he ran like a dumbass. All he had to do was just go in, questioning, just lie like you did before. But no, he decided that he was gonna run. And instead, they caught him. They caught him, and they also caught his friend because his friend tried to kidnap Pia, but he was an idiot. And it just did not work. When they talked to Sarah's brother, he told Pia that he didn't kill Nick. He let him go. Someone else killed Nick. Who could it be? So now the boys are having it rough, and we're seeing that the son Ethan is just communicating, just texting this person who we never actually see who they are, and they're just texting away to this person talking about secrets and whatever, and we're like, wait, did Ethan like help someone kill his father? Like, what the hell's going on with Ethan? Who is he talking to? Or like, is he communicating with some like weirdo who helped kill his father? So he confided into Pia, and Pia told him like, hey, this person might be some creep. So he said the same thing to the person who he's talking to. It's like, hey, we've never met in person. Maybe you're some creep who's just like trying to get me in their creepy ass basement. So he said all that to the person, and the person invited him to come and see who they are IRL. His friend convinced him to continue finding out information and told him that, hey, this lady Emma, maybe if you try to talk to her, she'll actually talk back to you, because at this point Emma decided she's not gonna talk to anyone. She's not talking to the detectives, she's not talking to Pia, she's just gonna cut everything that has to do with Nick out of her life. But the friend was like, hey, like, you would have been her stepson, so maybe she'll talk to you. And she did talk to him. Turns out that absolutely none of these women that Nick has been communicating with ever saw him or met him in real life. They've all been catfish, included Emma, because she finally snapped out of her delusions when she found out that the voice that she's been hearing on the phone is not actually the voice of the guy that she's been talking to. Nick is not the man that she fell in love with. Ethan's friend told him that if he was able to get pictures from these women that were sent from Nick, then they'll be able to track the metadata and link it back to the person who actually created these fake pictures. So now the metadata linked to an address, and the address was sent to Ethan. But Ethan wasn't paying attention to his messages because he was more concerned about his mom and what she was going through, because she dropped the bomb on them that they were trying to move. And Kai is just like, nah, I'm not doing that. While Ethan is talking to his mom, Kai sees the messages come up on the computer, and he decided that he is gonna show up at this person's house with a baseball bat because he was ready to bash some heads in. And at this time, we're thinking, wait a minute, I think it might be Matt. And then Matt shows up at Pia's house, and he's all angry because Pia was talking to the girl that Matt posted naked pictures of on the internet. Matt was like leaking pictures of people who were on his team who broke up with him. Like, sleazebag, I know. So now we're thinking that maybe it was Matt who killed Nick, because we're like, yeah, he's friends with Matt, so it would make sense if he told Matt that his wife had an affair. And Matt shows up at Pia's apartment and just giving off all kind of creep vibes, like he was gonna hit her. And her roommate stepped in and was like, you need to leave, dude. Back up. So now we're seeing Kai showing up at this house, and we're like, yeah, this is probably where Matt lives. But no, Matt didn't show up at the door. It was actually the admin, Dawn, from the college, who shows up at the door, and her husband. And they invited Kai in, and immediately you're like, no, Kai, don't go in. These mother effers are suspicious. He's there like, yeah, my brother was playing a trick on me and he sent me here. I'm like, kid, come on. You asked the question of what this was, and the reason why you brought a bat was because you thought that this is a person who killed your father. And all of a sudden, because you saw a little woman, a little older woman, and her husband, you somehow, like, your guards went down, like, and you decided to go in and have tea with them? Honey. Not you. You've been about the life. Like, keep the same energy. Keep the same energy regardless of who it is, Kai. And they're yelling at the TV like, no, Kai, get out of there. But he didn't. And they kidnapped him. Because they're like, no, we gotta cover our tracks. We already killed his father, which is absolutely ridiculous. Why would they kidnap him when they could just take him home, because he believed them at that point? The moment they start acting suspicious, that's when he's like, oh, so they're, okay, they killed my dad. Sophie and Pia is looking for Kai because they realize that Kai is missing, and they're freaking out. They call the cops and everything. They show up to Dawn's house because they also saw the message that Kai saw, and no one was there. They knew that she had like a cabin, or I guess it's like a mobile home or something, somewhere else. They had like a little farm, and they started going there. But by that time, Kai was already locked into a room of the mobile home. So we're also finding out when Dawn decided to use Nick's pictures to catfish people online, and we're also finding out why she decided to start catfishing people online. It turns out that Dawn's husband is a ferroequinologist, and he spent most of his days just paying attention to the trains, or his miniature trains, and he's not paying any attention to Dawn, and she just wanted her own thing, or to be seen. So she picked a handsome guy like Nick to be the face of the profiles. She had a lot of access to Nick's files because he doesn't really do technology, and he had her set up all his pictures and set up everything on his computer, connected his phone to his computer. And I'm there thinking, like, even people who aren't really tech savvy usually know enough to not let strangers or just random people who might work in your office or whatever just set up your phone, connect your cell phone to your computer. Like, you're giving your cell phone to a stranger. Like, that it just doesn't make any sense to me that someone would actually do that, especially like a younger person. It's not like an old person giving a stranger their phone. He's like a 30, 40 something year old man just handing over his cell phone to this woman who he just met to set it up and connect it to a school computer. And that's how she got all the information about Nick, how she got all the pictures from his computer. So when she signed in to that site with Nick's password and username or whatever, she had to sign into that account. Why was there already an account? So was Nick cheating on Sophie before? Because like, if you're not cheating on your wife, then why would a man who's been in a relationship for at least 16 years, because I'm gonna say their oldest son is like 16, 15 or whatever, you've been in a relationship for at least that long, and you're going to tell me that you have a whole dating website, then you're cheating. So are they saying that Nick was cheating before Don started using his pictures to catfish? What was going on? Because there was already a woman saying like, so why haven't you talked to me in a while? Like, what's going on? So that is never explained. Like, is Nick actually a cheater? Like, it doesn't matter if somebody uses pictures to catfish. At some point, it seems like he was a cheater. We find out that her husband also started to watch her patterns, and he was suspicious about something that was going on. And she was having sex with him more often, and she had more confidence. And then he found out that she was doing this catfish thing. And now he's like, is this the reason why you've been acting different? So are you in love with these women who you've been talking to? He got really jealous, and because he got jealous, he freaked out on her, and she started crying and feeling like crap. And that's when Sarah started talking to her, and she felt like she was just gonna try to cut everyone off. So she responded to Sarah completely negatively and wrong, and it sent Sarah over the edge. And Sarah committed suicide right around the same time when Don's husband found out about it. But it seemed like she continued. So now, right when the husband found out that Nick was kidnapped and all of these videos were going viral on the internet, she and her husband decide that they're going to get rid of the computers, get rid of everything that linked them back to anything involving Nick. And that's right when Nick showed up to the house. Because like an actual idiot, he didn't go to the cops after he was released from his kidnappers. He went to talk to the person who he realized, he figured out was using his picture to talk to these women all over the internet. He went to the person who's like, you're the only one that I told that my wife had an affair, and this is how I figured out that someone else was using my profile, because it wasn't me. So it has to be the person who I told my wife had an affair. And whoop-de-doo, it was Don. He showed up there. Don is all surprised and shocked. And he's like, you gotta go to the police and tell them what you've been doing. You caused someone to die and blah, blah, blah. And he's all like in his feelings. And because the husband is an absolute freaking idiot, and he came out swinging with a hammer. And he killed Nick. Which I'm just saying, for people who have never killed before, somehow they were able to cover their tracks really well. I mean, like, just because a body is washed up on the side of a banking doesn't mean that you can get rid of all the evidence of that body. Like, especially since he was, like, not that wet. He was, like, not submerged and have not been in the water for so long. Like he was on the reef. So like, I don't know. How does that work? Absolutely no. No. And she was like, I scrubbed that floor. I cleaned the house from top to bottom. They will never know. Yeah, because that's how forensics work. Just because you clean somewhere doesn't mean that they won't know. You left a whole internet trail, honey. So they showed up at the cabin and it was empty. They were gone. But then Sophie starts calling out for Kai, and he heard her and he started going in that direction. But then lo and behold, the psycho husband showed up again, and he wants to kill this kid. There's a standoff between the FBI or the detectives and Dawn's husband, and he was like, nah, I'm going out in a blaze of glory. And dumbass is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring my gun up towards the cops. And he got shot and died. And Dawn is there wailing. I'm like, yo, you killed 2 people. Why are you crying? No, I do not care about your tears, Dawn. You caused the death of 2 people. I'm sorry, I have no sympathies for you or your husband. And that's basically where it ends, because the next thing that we saw was the funeral, and we didn't see much from the actual funeral. We just saw them going into it. All in all, I think this series was actually quite entertaining. The name Clickbait was perfect for it, because not only did it show clickbaiting people on screen, but we were being clickbaited in every episode. We felt like we have to keep watching. We had to keep going to find out more. We need to find out who did this, and in next episode we're gonna need to find out who did the other thing. I felt like they focused in on Roshan's personal life at one point, and I wanted them to go more into it throughout, but they didn't go any further in it. I'm just like, did we really need to know any of this information? He could have just told us that he had a son and he is separated. Like, he could have just told Pia, I'm currently separated and I have a son. I didn't need to see the information about that, about his wife and son and this other dude who's in the picture, if they weren't gonna continue more of his storyline. But other than that, I enjoyed watching this show. There were plenty of times I'm like, what? No. For real? Mm-mm. But overall, it was very entertaining, and I like things that are entertaining. I was entertained. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you would like to see more videos like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.